Meet the Lot, native token of Lukki Exchange and the most potential tool for investing this year. Trade now on P2B, B2B and Lukki.io.
All right. Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited because it's such an interesting world we live in at this point. We're living in a multi-token coin world. We're living in this world where I got into Bitcoin and blockchain technologies. In fact, no one really used the term blockchain technologies back in 2011. Everything was Bitcoin. When Satoshi came out with the round paper and he released it, he had already talked about blockchain technology, but more importantly, he wanted to talk about its utility, or as what he saw was the utility, was finance and Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was and still is a cashless peer-to-peer money system. The ability for anyone to be able to send to anyone else money around the world and be an amazing store of value that's unfreezable and untaintable and uncorruptible and not double spendable. You can't counterfeit it. And this was an amazing thing, and everyone was really excited about it, and it really still is. But over the past few years, people have started, the space has grown, and we've started to look at more of blockchain technology. What is the actual underlying technology behind Bitcoin? And can we utilize this technology for other things? And so people started to focus on different aspects of blockchain tech. And I want to talk about some of those projects and why they're interesting to me. So for those who don't know, a blockchain is essentially a chain of blocks, a distributed ledger. If you were to imagine if Alice wants to send Bob some money and there's a Google spreadsheet or Microsoft Excel spreadsheet on both sides. Alice sends Bob some money and it gets deducted from one spreadsheet and gets credited on another spreadsheet. Now imagine if the spreadsheet was held by millions of people around the world, and whenever Alice sends Bob money, it gets updated on everyone's spreadsheet in real time. And if you want to change that, if you want to counterfeit that, you wouldn't be able to, because everyone has an economic incentive to keep each other honest. So in a nutshell, the ability to send value to someone else is distributed. And because everyone has an economic incentive for the system to remain honest, no one is going to double spend or counterfeit or try to hack the system. Because if you try to hack the system, then the value of Bitcoin goes to zero and there's nothing really to hack. Unlike if someone goes and robs a bank and they get money, no one says that the dollar doesn't have value anymore, the euro doesn't have value, they just get that money. But if someone goes and tries to hack into the Bitcoin network and steal everyone's money, then the value of Bitcoin goes to zero because there won't be a market anymore. And this gets into intrinsic value. People would tell me, Charlie, why does Bitcoin have value back in 2011, 2012? There's no, you can't build a house with it. You can't make jewelry with it like gold. You can't, it has no, as they would say, intrinsic value. And I really hated that term of intrinsic value because that implies objectivity. But really, value is subjective, meaning that value is only really attained by me. So if I think that, this piece of paper has value and you think it has value and someone else think it has value, then we've created a market for it and now it has value. So for example, I know the euro is valuable, not because it's backed by gold or anything like that, but because if I go to the coffee shop every day, I know that it's going to cost €1 for a cup of coffee every day, and it's not really going to change. But what we see what happens in countries where there's super hyperinflation, like what happened in Argentina and Venezuela, people don't want to really hold their money anymore. They're not using it as a store of value. There's less of a market for it because the value of it is plummeting constantly every day. And then you get into this spiral. So with Bitcoin, slowly over the years, we have this value and we had people that started to agree that this had value, and that created markets. And that's why Bitcoin is trading at around $2,500 today, because you have scarcity and you have everyone thinks it's valuable. But the question is, why does everyone think it's valuable? The answer is because Bitcoin is an amazing store of value, and it's the ability to send money to anyone, anywhere in the world. It's like cash with wings. It's a wire transfer system that can't be frozen, that can't be stopped, that can't be counterfeited. And this is all great. So all these people looked at blockchain technology and said, okay, so the technology that makes Bitcoin what it is today, what if we can apply that to other platforms or other ideas, not Bitcoin? I was able to be in Germany a few months ago, and the idea of this conference was, what else can we do with blockchain technology? And I learned some really cool things. Some people are doing social media with blockchain technology. There's actually a Russian language version called Golos, GOLOS.io. And Golos in Russia is doing something very interesting. They've created a blockchain where anyone can post Twitter messages, pictures, blog posts, news articles, anyone can write. And when you write an article, it gets actually published to the blockchain, which means that everyone now has a copy of your article instead of just one person. So if a government says, we want to take this down, we want to take the article down, they can't. Because now this article is on the blockchain, which means that a copy of it is on everyone's computer around the world within seconds. Further, instead of having the new inflation rate, so the miners, instead of having the miners make the new money that comes to the system every day, it's proof of brain. So people that are writing articles, people that are voting on articles, people that are participating in the Golos and Steam system are actually getting new money. They're called witnesses, or they're curators. So for example, if I write an article and enough people vote on my article every day and it goes higher in voting, the new money that comes into the system, I get paid for that. So I can write an article and get paid €1,000. I can get paid €100. I can get paid €3,000. Because if enough people like my article, I'm not getting paid by them, but rather they're all holding the Golos token or the Golos currency, and the value of the system goes up, and the system creates new money, inflation every day, 9%, and that new money gets distributed to all the people who are voting and writing to the system. That's really cool, because instead of having miners, you're having people that are participating in growing the system. So we saw this new adventure of smart contracts. And what are smart contracts? Smart contracts are essentially Turing-complete code. So this is a piece of code that has an objective and starts and stops and does things on the blockchain. People have said that eventually smart contracts can run the Internet of Things. So my refrigerator, for example, if I'm running out of milk, my refrigerator can then go order some more milk from the grocery store. The washing machine, the lights, the air conditioning, all these different things can be run. Now, the benefit of doing it on the blockchain is that it makes it much more difficult for someone to hack into it and to break it, because it's not one distributed database. If, for example, we all had all of our devices at home, our lights, our air conditioning, our washing machine, all controlled by one company, if someone were to hack into that one company, all of our systems could be at risk. So people are doing some really cool stuff too. With insurance, for example, I saw someone created a smart contract where you actually can send Ether to the smart contract and type in your flight number. And if your flight got delayed or canceled, the smart contract would actually send you money back as flight insurance. So it's automated flight insurance on the blockchain. Now, this is not a person that's running it. This is the smart contract that's checking your flight. And if it gets the data that your flight was delayed, it would send you the money back from flight insurance. And all these projects are amazing. The thing is, how do we support them? And what if you want to own a lot of different tokens? People want to buy Bitcoin, they want to buy Ether, they want to buy Steam, they want to buy Dash, they want to buy all these different tokens, they want to buy Golos. But what do? You're not going to sit and download every wallet, and you're not going to have 15 different wallets on your Android phone or on your computer. So most people started to keep their money at Bitcoin exchanges like Poloniex or Bittrex or Kraken, because those are the only places where you can keep large amounts of different tokens, even small amounts of different tokens. Now, I've been around the space for a very long time, and I've seen exchanges disappear overnight. And I've seen a lot of people lose money, and this was scary. So I joined on board a company recently called Jaxx.io, JAXX.io. And what Jaxx is, we are a multi-token, multi-platform wallet. So you could download our wallet on your Android phone, on your iPhone, on your computer, on your desktop, we have a Chrome extension, and we support at right now 15 different coins and tokens. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dash, Ether, Ethereum Classic, Dogecoin, Factom, all these different tokens, we support them. Not only that, but they're supported across all different platforms. But what's the difference between our wallet and keeping money on an exchange? The difference is that when you keep money on an exchange, you don't actually control that money. It's like keeping money at a bank. The bank could close down and you lose all your money. Keeping your money on exchanges is very dangerous. If you're going to be trading, that's fine. But once you're done trading, you should withdraw all of your cryptocurrency, all of your tokens and coins, and not leave them overnight. Because if you wake up and the exchange is gone, you're not in control of that money. If you're not in control of your own private keys, you're not in control. And it's very attractive for hackers to try to do this. And we've seen this before because cryptocurrencies are getting higher in value, and they will always get higher in value. They will continue to appreciate. So with the Jaxx wallet, when you create a wallet, you actually generate a 12-word seed. So what this is, it says random 12 words are created. And we tell you, back this up, write it down, create a PGP email to yourself, put it somewhere in a safe deposit box, and back it up in a few different places. This 12-word seed, all your private keys for all your tokens are generated from this 12-word mnemonic seed. And what happens is, if Jaxx, my company, disappears overnight, none of your money's lost because we don't control your money. You control your money. And that's really important for us. We don't want to touch anyone's money. And so people are doing some really, really amazing things on the blockchain. And it's very exciting to see the world that we're living in, because what's happening is blockchain tech is removing the power of different industries that were monopolized by different governments and different people, and taking it out of the hands of those people and giving it back to the masses. And it's really an amazing thing, and I'm really excited to be part of it. So just to give you guys a little bit of background, in 2011, I started a company called BitInstant, and we were one of the first companies in the blockchain Bitcoin space. Well, it was a Bitcoin space back then. We were transacting 30% of all Bitcoin to dollar transactions back then. Bitcoin was probably worth 10 cents. I mean, I think I have a friend who threw out a hard drive with $4 million worth of Bitcoin today, but back then it was only worth $25. You can imagine how he felt. It's pretty bad. He's not feeling good about himself. But who would have known? I remember I sent this guy who made a funny song on YouTube. I sent him 50 Bitcoin, which was worth like $50. And he said, "Hey, Charlie, do you want me to send this back to you? Because I was only supposed to send him 5, but it was a typo." And I said, "No, keep it. That 50 Bitcoin will be worth a lot of money today." So I think everyone's made those mistakes. And then went on to found the Bitcoin Foundation, which was an entity to kind of continue to promote and standardize the Bitcoin space. But now we live in this multi-token world where it's not just Bitcoin anymore. You have all these different tokens that do different things really well. Some of them are pump and dumps. Some of them are shit coins, to be honest with you. And if you're going to invest in any of these new tokens, you should understand what the project is. You should know who the founders are. And you should see what it's all about, because a lot of these tokens really don't do anything. But it's really interesting to see. I actually advising for a company. So the Russian blockchain community is one of the largest communities in the world. At BitInstant, what we did was allow people in 2011, even 2012, we allowed people to buy Bitcoin with cash at any of our locations. You know what our two countries were? United States and Russia. And back then, you can walk into any Kiwi or Cyberplat location and actually buy Bitcoin. And there was a huge Russian demand. So there's a lot of Russian people that bought Bitcoin really early on. There's a huge company based in St. Petersburg, Russia, called Changely, CHANGELLY.com. And what Changely is doing is really cool. They're actually a decentralized exchange where you can buy and sell all of these tokens. But remember, don't keep your tokens on exchanges. Keep them on Jaxx or keep them on any different wallet that you control the keys. It's really important because there's nothing new under the sun, and we can see issues and we can see things disappear. But blockchain tech is really amazing. And if you can, try to invest a little bit in all these different projects because they're really cool. And they do a lot of different things really well. So instead of trying to take down government, instead of trying to take down these big corporations, what we're doing is let's create a new system and give people the choice. What system do they want to use? The bad one that they've been using all this time, or the new system that we've created? And that's how this technology is going to succeed. If we all start using the new system, and if we all start participating and taking part of it, it's going to change the world. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And we can have a question and answer as well if anyone has any questions.
Hi, my name is Almas. As you started speaking, I saw that Jack's logo on your head, and I instantly downloaded your wallet. And I love the app. It looks easier than the blockchain.info where
Yes.
I also have a wallet. But the question is, what is the guarantee that the Jacks will always be out there and it will not close, so I can keep money in your
Great
wallet?
question.
Yeah,
Great question.
because I respect you, I know you, but I'm not sure about Jack's future.
No, and you shouldn't trust anyone. You shouldn't even trust me. That's the whole point of blockchain technology, is that you're not supposed to have to trust one specific person. If you keep money on an exchange and the exchange disappears overnight, you lose all your money.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Bitcoin wallets that you can use, so you control your money on your phone. But the problem is a lot of people own different tokens and coins now. So you own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, Steam. What do? Where do you keep it? Because you don't want to download 15 different wallets. So when you created your Jax wallet just now and you downloaded it, when you created a new wallet, it gave you 12-word backup.
Yeah, it
Gave you
did.
12-word seed. Save that. Save that. That is your backup. All of your private keys are derived on your phone from that backup. Jax doesn't know that backup. Jax doesn't know your private keys. Everything is done on your phone and your backup. So if Jax disappears overnight, if I go away, if everyone in the company disappears, doesn't exist, the company shut down, there's no more, you can actually import those private keys into any other wallet. You can import it into blockchain.info. You can import it into the exchange, my Ether wallet. You can import it anywhere. All Jax is a really nice way of showing you your balance and letting you use your private keys to actually send and receive money. But we're not actually doing it for you. We're not actually controlling your private keys. And we are open source, so you can actually view all of our code on jax.io.
Sounds convincing.
question, though.
Thank you. And a little more question. What is your
Sure.
criteria of adding more cryptocurrency? For example, I didn't see Ripple there.
So it's actually a very interesting question, and we just announced 2 days ago that we're going to be adding Ripple. Ripple is a little more difficult than adding Bitcoin or Ethereum tokens. So Ripple and Monero are two more different ones that we've dedicated developers, and we should be launching Ripple and Monero within the next month or two.
Good.
Amongst 50 other tokens. But if you have a token that you'd like to see, send us an email or contact us on our Slack and show us a token or coin that you like, and we can definitely add it.
Good.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
thank you so much. All right, Charlie, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So my question is, like right now, I'm a layman, right? I'm not into blockchain as much as the rest of the room, right? So one of the questions I have is, is cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and blockchain, is it a path toward transparency and trust, or is it a tool for the opposite?
The whole point of cryptocurrency is that you don't have to trust anyone. Don't trust, verify.
Isn't it a problem with society that we still trust people?
Well, we want to trust people. And when there's no accountability, you have to trust someone. For example, if I go to a restaurant and I buy some food, they're trusting that I don't run out on the check. If I give you something, I'm trusting that you'll pay me for it. But when it comes to money, it's not a good idea that we have to trust. When it comes to elections and voting, we all vote on elections, but we trust the election commission to not be corrupt. We trust our politicians to not be corrupt. We trust our data to not be corrupt. We trust. But what's the accountability? Who's to say that if someone does lie or does cheat us or steal our money, what can we really do about it? So we created Bitcoin and blockchain technology, which is a trustless system, which means that if 1,000 people are part of the system, in order to cheat, you need 501 people. You need 51% of the people to say that I want to cheat. But that means you need 51%. But the economic incentive to cheat is not there, because if even one person can cheat, the whole system fails and there's no value anymore. The whole system is done. So everyone who's holding shares in that system, anyone who's holding Bitcoin or anything like that, they all go to zero. So everyone has an incentive, everyone has a want to make sure that the system stays honest. And so if I'm sending you money on the blockchain network, you don't have to trust that I send it to you. You can verify it on the blockchain. So it's don't trust, but verify.
Thank you. Any more questions from the audience? Yeah? There's one question from the lady and then one person at the back there.
Hi, my name is Katya. I would like to ask you about your opinion on the last scaling agreement reached by the Bitcoin community. I'm asking you because you were actually the first one who reported on it from the conference. Thank you for that. And
Sure.
But now some of the core developers start to share their views that it is unreasonable or even impossible to make in this timetable.
Well, nothing's impossible. Thank you. It's a good question. A lot of people have said that Bitcoin and blockchain technology is not good because there's no governance. So in a country, we have a leader, and the leader tells us what to do. And we vote for the leader, and we hope that the leader represents us. With cryptocurrency, there's no leader. There's just all of the users. And this is important because Bitcoin is an experiment. And we've created an experiment where it's, instead of having a leader, you have the market. And markets are efficient when they are allowed to be. They're just not as fast as we want them to be. So with scaling, for example, there's a divide or a disagreement on how to scale. And over the past few years, there's been people disagreeing on what the best way. Do we raise the block size limit, or do we build a layer system on the blockchain? Over the past few weeks, Barry Silbert put together a large group, almost all the Bitcoin and blockchain companies in the space, in the industry, including a few companies in Russia, and said that this is what we want to do. We want to have a compromise, a 2 megabyte block size increase with segregated witness activated. The point was for it to be not specific. The point was for the core developers to realize, okay, here we have all the miners that are going to activate SegWit. And the core developers come up with a solution on how to do it. But the core developers don't want to compromise. And they will. But if they don't, then all of these companies, miners and users, will fork. And these core developers won't really be involved anymore. So markets will decide what's going to happen in the Bitcoin and blockchain space. And it'll all work out great. I don't think there will be a hard fork. I think everyone will compromise and will have scaling. But this is a good thing. This is really important. The scaling debate shows how, in order to change a fundamental part of Bitcoin, in order to make such a big change, there's not one person who can do it. There's not one company who can do it. You need everyone to agree. And that's really important, because what if a bad person came and tried to spend $200 million and try to change Bitcoin to work the way he wants it to work? That would be a bad system, because that's corruptible. But here we have Bitcoin, which is worth tens of billions of dollars, but you have people who have so much money, they can't even control it. And that, to me, is amazing.
Hello, my name is Dennis. I'm from
Hello.
FinTech Solutions and represent Cymex. And my question is, if we are talking about Bitcoin, about transparency and the possibility to arrange public voting, why not Bitcoin community just make public voting for all participants to decide how it should go forward, how it should develop in the future, to make it for people? Why just a few of you decide how it's going to be in the future?
It's a good question. And the answer is what mechanism do we vote with? So Satoshi created hashing power, which means that all of these Bitcoin miners can signal for what they want. And if enough miners signal for what change they want, the system would fork. The problem is that the miners don't take into account the users. But how do you vote on users? You have a Sybil attack, what's called, where if we all do voting, how do we verify that each human is only doing one vote? How do we know that I can't create a computer program that can vote 1,000,000 times? And so we have economic nodes. And that's what the system is actually doing right now. The system is voting, and people are slowly voting on what they want. And once one thing gets enough voting, the system will update and change. It doesn't take as fast as people want it to. People want it to take place quick. People want an answer now. But you don't have a leader in blockchain technologies. And sometimes when you have an immature market that doesn't have a leader, which is a good thing, it takes a little bit longer than you want it to. And that's okay, because this is a market, and we have to let things play out as they should. So the scaling solution will get solved. Will it happen tomorrow? I don't know. Will it happen next month? I don't know. Will it happen in 6 months? I hope so. But it will get solved. It's just a matter of when.
Okay. I have another question for you. I come from the startup world and talking to a lot of startups, a lot of VCs and things. But in your opinion, how is it going to affect the market for, say, mobile services?
So it's a great question. And so mobile services are actually used as money in many countries, especially in Africa. In Africa, you have M-Pesa. And M-Pesa is cell phone minutes. But you can actually transfer value. You can transfer these minutes from one person to another. And you can buy them. And instead of having to keep money, so in places like Kenya, people don't have bank accounts, and their banking system is extremely corrupt. People used to keep money under their beds. And this is not good, because if you have someone come to your house, they can steal all of your life savings. So what happened is cell phones are cheap and easy to set up. So everyone in Kenya started getting cell phones. And in some African countries, there are more cell phones than there are people, which is weird. But so now, if I buy cell phone minutes, if I say cell phone points, it gets added to my cell phone, and that is considered money. So I can send that to someone anywhere in the world. I can get paid in that. Bitcoin is really interesting because it's actually connecting all of these cell phone companies around the world. So there's a company called BitRefill. And BitRefill actually allows you to buy cell phone minutes as a way of remittance around the world. So if I go to bitrefill.com, I can actually type in someone's Kenyan cell phone number, say I want to deposit 50 euro worth of minutes, and send Bitcoin. And that person in Kenya will actually get a message that $50 has been added to their phone. So Bitcoin is now the bridge between all of these different currencies. Bitcoin will be that bridge between all different local currencies around the world.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think we have time for one last question. There's one in the back. Sorry, I had a microphone closer to him.
Hi, my name is Alex. I just
Hello.
want to addition to the previous question about voting. Why we just can't make a token-weighted voting? We can make a script, so we can lock a transaction output, and we can decide a decision based on token-weighted voting.
So the question is, why can't you use the value of your Bitcoin holdings to vote? So if I'm holding 1,000 Bitcoin, I lock it in for the voting period, and then I vote on that, correct?
Yes.
This has been discussed. The issue is that distribution of Bitcoin isn't as much as it should be. So you have only maybe 11 to 13 million, I forget exactly the amount of Bitcoin in existence, but a lot of people who were involved early own a lot of Bitcoin. So there's one person who owns 1% of all the Bitcoin. There's also someone else who owns 2-3% of all the Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is definitely distributed, but just because I know people who own Bitcoin exchanges who are very involved in the network, but they may not even own any Bitcoin. So is it really fair? However, I agree with you that the amount of Bitcoin you have means how much ownership you have in the network. If you own Bitcoin, then you own a piece of the network. So it should be output weighted voting. I agree with you. And I think people are definitely in talks to actually making that happen. But obviously the ones who don't want that to happen are the ones who don't own Bitcoin. So it's a debate. But I agree with you. I like that idea a lot.
Hello, my name is Nazim, internship in Waze platform. So you mentioned about elections and voting. So do you think that blockchain is ready for large-scale election or like, let's say, national election? And can we make this democracy happen? This is my
Yes.
question. Okay.
So that's a great question. So there's a company here in the United States called Clear Voter, and they're trying to build an election system on the blockchain. I think as a technology and as a theory, it is ready, but in practicality, the technology is still a few years away for a large country. However, it's a good test case for company elections. So there are companies where every employee owns a certain percent of the company. So there you have only a few thousand people, and for that, the technology is ready. But for a scale of hundreds of millions of people, I think we need to do a lot more testing. However, the technology is there, it exists, and it's been identified as one of the best different new technologies to do uncorruptibility in voting. By the way, I really like the Waves platform, and we're actually integrating Waves into Jax.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you so much. And the question is also like you said that it can be used in companies already. Have you seen examples like that in life?
So I've seen not in specific reality. It probably exists, but I haven't seen it yet. But it's a good question. I should go look. But I've seen a system where a new token was created. Only 100 tokens exist. Everyone gets one, and there are two addresses. And whichever address you send it to, that's where your vote goes. That's the simple way to do it. There are other ways to do it, but that's the most simple way to do it. The other way to do it is with transaction locking that the gentleman who asked the question before said. That's another good way to do it.
Cool. Thank you. Any more questions from the audience? I have one for you as well that's more on a human side, right? I think, again,
Sure.
at blockchain events, we talk a lot about the technology. We talk a lot about the specifics, right? But I'm also interested, like, what is your take on how we can help to bring this technology to people, right, on an emotional level, right? How can we make people ready to go to elections based on blockchain or use banks based on blockchain? What is it that needs to change emotionally for people to accept this?
People, as human beings, we want to trust someone else. We need to see physical something. We need to know that there's a physical person behind the bank, or there's a physical leader. We want to feel that there's someone there. But the world is going to the internet. We've seen a world where my grandmother said, I don't trust email. I want to write a letter, because she wanted to physically write something down and have it sent in the mail. But then email came out, and you can actually do virtual messaging. Bitcoin is doing to money what email did to the postal service. It's the same thing. But people didn't start using email overnight. It took 20, 30, 40 years. And you can't convince someone. Bitcoin is voluntary. You can't force someone to do something. And I would even hesitate on trying to convince someone. Let people figure it out by themselves. I never try to go to my friends and push Bitcoin onto them. My friends know I'm involved in cryptocurrency. They know I'm involved in Bitcoin. And they come to me and they ask me questions. And I answer the questions to the best of my ability. And some people buy in 1 second. Some people take a year or two to buy. But eventually everyone comes around because they see the system is so amazing.
Cool, thank you. And one last thing, I think we have a lot of young people, entrepreneurs, people working in blockchain or wanting to work in blockchain. What would be your general advice to anybody starting up in this field?
Make yourself different. If you want to work in the blockchain or Bitcoin space, start tweeting, start writing, just become someone on the internet, come up with cool ideas, and apply for companies. There are so many different projects out there that are offering bounties, marketing bounties, business development, internships. It's so easy to become involved. There are not enough people to actually staff all of these different companies. There's plenty of jobs. If anyone is really good at something and wants to work in the space, send me an email, and I could definitely do my best to help that happen.
Cool. And what token would you buy right now?
I don't like to tell people what to buy because if it goes down, they get very angry at me.
Very good. Hey, Charlie, thank you for being with us. We're running out of time. Thank you for taking the call. Hopefully next time you'll make sure you're here in person as well, because
Yes.
everybody really wanted to be here to shake your hand. So I expect you to be at the next event, correct?
I will be at the next event. We're working on my visa right now still.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll help you with the visa, but we're gonna make sure you're here. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and see you around.